Today, we're embarking on a spine-tingling journey into the heart of the forest, where the most unsettling discoveries await. Get ready to experience the fear firsthand as we unveil the 15 scariest things ever found in forests. Number 15. Booby traps. When you're walking in the woods, you need to watch out for anything that could hurt you. Usually, you might just have to avoid things like roots sticking out or ditches covered in leaves. But sometimes, there are much more dangerous things out there. In Utah, a forestry officer found something really dangerous while he was patrolling in April 2012. This officer had experience dealing with bombs in Iraq and Afghanistan. He noticed some strange wires near a makeshift shelter. These wires were connected to traps set up to hurt anyone who passed by. It's a good thing he saw them, because if someone triggered these traps, they could have been seriously hurt or even killed, especially since it was dark in that area. One trap was a heavy rock with sharp sticks attached, hanging from a tree at head height. Another trap had sticks hidden in the ground with a wire meant to trip people into them. The authorities found the two guys, ages 21 and 19, who made these traps. They got charged with a serious crime. Hopefully, they learned their lesson and won't do something like that again. Number 14. There's a big old virus. Scientists have been studying how the world's weather changes affect things. They looked in a forest near Boston in 2018. They wanted to see how tiny living things in the dirt reacted to the dirt getting warmer. But instead, they found some very big viruses. Regular viruses are small, like between 50 to 140 nanometers wide. But these new ones were almost 5 times bigger, around 635 nanometers wide. After studying them more, the scientists found out these big viruses were strange inside too, not like any other viruses they knew. This means they might behave differently when they infect living things. Before this, the only time scientists found anything like these big viruses was in ice that's 30,000 years old. So, not only did they find a possibly dangerous new virus in the forest, but they also showed that as the world gets warmer, more of these big viruses might show up. And they could be from a time before humans, so we might not have any natural defenses against them. Number 13. Spider's web. When you walk in the woods, you need to watch out for animals. Woods are important for many animals to live. Sometimes, you might see cute animals like rabbits, hedgehogs, or deer, but you might also see dangerous animals like bears. Often, it's the small animals like snakes, beetles, mosquitoes, and bees that surprise people the most. In 2007, a group of people found something surprising while hiking in Lake Tawakoni State Park, which is about 30 miles from Rowlett. They found a huge web covering many trees. It must have taken a long time for a spider to make such a big web. Researchers found something unexpected. Before, people thought spiders made webs alone, but this web showed that sometimes thousands of spiders work together to make a big web. The spider responsible for this web was the Guatemalan long-jawed orb weaver. This isn't the only time it happened in Texas. In 2015, another group found a big web in Lakeside Park South. Again, it must have been made by many thousands of spiders. Both times, these webs became attractions for visitors, but it's different when you come across them unexpectedly compared to going to see them on purpose. Number 12. Breathing earth woodlands. In some forests, there's a special thing that happens. It looks like the ground is breathing. This might sound strange, but it's true. The forest floor moves up and down like it's taking a breath. It's like there's a big creature under the ground snoring. This happens because of strong winds. When the wind blows hard, it makes the trees sway, and their roots move too. When the roots move a lot, they make the ground shake. Even the rocks and dirt on top of the ground move. It's like a big wave going through the forest floor. People have seen this and recorded it. It's amazing to watch, but it's not magic. It's just nature doing its thing. Number 11. A missing family. They didn't like how things are in society, so they decided to live away from it all, in the forest. They saw videos about living off the grid and wanted to try it themselves. a 42-year-old woman, her 41-year-old sister, and her 14-year-old son moved into the forest in July 2022. They didn't listen to their family's advice against it. They were unhappy with the world and wanted to escape from it. They didn't bring any technology with them. No one heard from them after they left. Their family hoped they were living happily off the grid. But in July 2023, some campers found their tent in the forest. Sadly, they found the family's bodies. They had died during the winter. Their bodies were partly decomposed and dried out. The coroner said they likely died from not having enough food. It's not clear if they died from starvation, the cold, or carbon monoxide poisoning from their fire. Number 10. Face carvings. In a place called Stormill Wood in the town of Cudworth, UK, there are some strange carvings that people have noticed recently. The carvings look like faces and other things, and they're covered in moss. People started talking about them and came up with different ideas about what they could mean. Some people thought maybe druids, who lived there a long time ago, made them to protect the area. Others thought maybe monks from a nearby monastery made them, and there was even a wild idea that Viking bunnies carved them. But it turns out the carvings were made by two local artists who wanted to make the area more interesting. One of them had even made similar carvings before. So, the mystery wasn't really a mystery after all. Number 9. Mysterious cabin. People sometimes leave their comfy modern life to live in the forest. They might disappear without anyone knowing if they're okay or not. Sometimes, people find hidden houses in the woods. In 2015, a worker in a forest in California found a strange cabin. He thought it wasn't there when he last visited. The cabin was hidden well and looked neat. It had no signs of life around it, but it was built nicely with windows, a roof, and even a porch. Later, a cop checked it out. Inside, it was clean and had food, a chair, a stove, and old stuff like a typewriter. It seemed like someone lived there for a while. They found books from 2015 and a note from 2011. They guessed someone used the cabin as a vacation home. But when they planned to go back, they found out the woods were going to be cut down. So, they decided to destroy the cabin. Number 8. The Devil's Tramping Ground. In a forest near Bear Creek, North Carolina, there's a spooky camping spot called the Devil's Tramping Ground. It's famous for strange stuff happening there. There's a circle where nothing grows, even though the area around it is full of plants. People say weird things happen there, like stuff disappearing overnight and dogs acting strange near it. People who camp nearby hear odd noises and have trouble sleeping, often having scary dreams. Some folks think the devil stomps around in a circle there. Whether you believe that or not, something strange is definitely going on. The spooky stories make the place even more mysterious, and they make people have weird experiences. If you want to find out for yourself, you'll have to be brave and spend a night there. Number 7. 114-year-old Headstone. A very old grave marker was found in the woods near Davenport, California. A hiker saw it in December 2012. He had seen it before more than 10 years ago. This time, he took a closer look and saw that it was a headstone. The headstone belonged to Marie Holmes, a woman who lived in the area in the late 1800s. She was known as a popular prostitute. Sadly, she had a tough life and died by suicide in 1897 by drinking a harmful chemical. She was buried in Evergreen Cemetery nearby, with many people mourning her death. Over time, the cemetery fell into disrepair and many headstones disappeared. It's a mystery why Marie Holmes' headstone ended up in the woods near the highway. We may never know the answer. Number 6. German hand grenade. During the First and Second World Wars, Germany had a lot of fighting. Because of this, they have a special group called the Explosive Ordnance Disposal Service. They're really busy because they have to deal with bombs often. In April 2021, near a city called Pau, someone found what looked like a hand grenade in a forest. They called the authorities. When the bomb squad arrived, they found out it wasn't a real grenade. It was actually made of soft rubber. Along with it, there were some other items like a bottle of lubricant and condoms. It seems like people were having fun in the forest, not playing war. It's not clear why they left it there, but maybe they were disturbed by the person who found it. Number 5. Missing posters. People like James Rankin enjoy taking walks in the woods because they find it exciting to see different things each time, like mushrooms, birds, or blooming trees. But one day, in October 2016, while walking in Berkeley-Jackson County Park in New York, he saw something shocking. He found many missing posters hanging on trees, and there was even a strange twig shrine. It scared him, so he called the police, thinking he might have stumbled upon a serial killer's hideout. However, it turned out that the posters were for a Halloween party, and the area was being prepared for it. Everything was taken down afterward. Even though James knew the truth, he still feels a bit nervous when walking in the woods now, always wondering what he might come across next. Number 4. Car graveyard. In lonely forests, criminals often think they can hide evidence easily. They figure nobody will find it there. But nature changes, and what's hidden in summer might show up in winter. In December 2022, 2 cops were patrolling Buckwood near Sheffield, UK. It's part of a protected area called 7 Heritage Woodlands. The cops were off the usual path, looking for anything strange or people needing help. The forest was snowy, making things easy to spot. They found something unexpected: a bunch of burnt-out cars and a motorcycle. Worried, they checked if anyone was hurt, but the vehicles were empty. They'd wondered who did this and why. They gathered clues from the cars to find their owners. Turns out, all the vehicles were stolen in the last 6 months, some linked to robberies. It seemed like a criminal gang used the cars for crimes and then stripped them for valuable parts. Since these parts can't be traced easily, it was a smart move. Once the cars were useless, they dumped them in the woods. Luckily, the cops found the scene. If it wasn't for the snow, it might have taken longer to find. But they couldn't find any evidence to catch the culprits. It remains a mystery. Number 3. Weapons cache. Different countries have different rules about who can have weapons. In some places, people plan secret things and need to be very careful not to get caught. Woodlands are good for planning because they hide you well, even if people are close. It's easy to hide things like weapons there. In Northern Ireland in 2016, someone thought they could hide weapons in the woods, but the police found some dangerous stuff there. In Northern Ireland, it's really hard to own guns or anything else dangerous. The police found guns, ammo, bombs, and things to set off bombs. These things could have hurt a lot of people. Luckily, the police found them before they could be used. They couldn't find out who put them there because they were careful not to leave any evidence. So they kept it a secret and watched the place to see if the person would come back. But they never found out who did it. Number 2. A doll altar. Once there was a woman near Birmingham, England. In 2021, she went for a walk in a place called Kick Chase. She hadn't been around many people because she was at high risk for getting sick. While walking in the woods, she felt like someone was watching her. When she looked up, she saw old, raggedy dolls tied to the trees. It scared her a lot, so she ran home. She talked to her friend, who was a spiritual medium. They both went back to the woods and said a prayer. They found a sign saying the place used to be a hospital during a war. This made them wonder who put the dolls there and why. Number 1. Giant snake skin. Many stories talk about strange creatures in the woods and other places. People make up these stories for different reasons. Sometimes they want to explain why someone disappeared. Other times, they want to stop kids from going into dangerous areas. But sometimes, these stories turn out to be true. In 2016, people in a town called Westbrook in Maine started talking about a big animal living near the Brumett River. They called it Wessie, like the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland. People thought it might be a giant snake because someone saw it eating a beaver. A police officer even saw it too. There were more sightings after that, but then everything got quiet. People wondered if Wessie had left or if it was all just in their heads. Soon after, someone found a big snake skin by the riverbank. It was about 12 feet long. Snakes shed their skin when they're growing, so this one must have been getting even bigger. Scientists tested the skin and found out it belonged to a green anaconda, a type of snake from South America. This one was probably a female, around 10 to 12 years old. It's rare to find an anaconda in Maine. They usually live in warmer places like Florida. Luckily, Maine gets too cold in the winter for them to survive. After that summer, nobody saw Wessie again. So, the people in Westbrook could relax knowing they were safe from the big snake. Thanks for joining us on this chilling adventure through the woods. If you dare to uncover more mysteries, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hair-raising content. Until next time, stay curious and stay spooky.